What a fucking nigger. Jeez, oh my god, what the fuck? I don't mean that in a bad way, Jesus. I don't mean that in a bad way, Jesus. I don't mean that in a bad. 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 I don't mean that.
Right. So, this will be a short, sharp trip to the land of fuck off. There'll be so many people making, or I've already made a video on this already, but I like to toss in my 2 cents. As you can see, this is a video game. It's not a very good video game, but it is undeniably a game. And video games, people tend to say stupid things, because video games, like all public services, are full of people from all walks of life. When I was in secondary school, there was a group of my classmates that went out to a gaming cafe 3 times a week. One of them was openly homosexual. And the few times I joined them, the number of times homophobic slurs like faggot or fag were tossed around made me wonder, why is he not offended? Is he not uncomfortable? And after a while, it hit me. He had heard the word so many times it had become meaningless. It wasn't a slur anymore, it was barely an insult. It was a word they used because they could, because they found it funny. They weren't homophobic, they were friends. It was just a word, a stupid word. It was probably also because he knew he was bottom fragging. First world society, I think, needs to make the same kind of decision. Are we going to be offended by everything or nothing at all? Why does one word have certain rules that another doesn't? An offensive word is used because it is meant to cause offense. Saying cunt or nigger or faggot is just a way of getting under somebody's skin. The difference is that a large proportion of people who play online video games for a long time tend to be indifferent. They've heard these words so many times that without specific context it usually means nothing. Society needs some of this hardening. YouTube's biggest star is a person who plays video games. He's far from the only one who says bad words, but he, above all the others, is the one who's punished. With endless online articles that pale in significance to him attempting to take him down like a swarm of leeches. Because in an age of inequality, of ethnic cleansing, the rise of white nationalism, the re-emergence of actual extreme groups on both sides of the spectrum, with unorthodox views on race and gender, this man is somehow the enemy. I'm no fan of Pewdiepie, believe it or not, but if he's a white supremacist, I'll eat my Barbie collection. But of course, the specific word he used is probably more important, so things that are taboo are more exciting, always. A lesser example is sex. We know about it, we've all seen it. After the first few times, it's really not that exciting anymore. But the same culprits lose their minds every time they see the slightest hint of clunge. They contribute to its taboo status, as if it's humanity's dark secret that the donuts and the hot dogs have secondary uses. Overexposure kills a word. Overuse kills its meaning. I've been called all sorts of things when I've been online. And while it certainly bothered me at first, they mean nothing now. I'm not offended. This may be radical, so thank God no one watches this channel because I'd be in shit if they did. But I think exposure to nigger should be the same as exposure to any other curse word. It's exciting and new and powerful when you first find out about it. By the time you're an adult, it means so little. I want to imagine a world where we can just say anything to each other. I want a day where everybody of every skin colour, race, gender, disposition can just call each other the worst things they can think of and laugh. Use these words everywhere. Nigger carries terrible connotations now, but the millionth time you've heard it being used by some white kid being no-scoped, it won't. It shouldn't. That's a tall order, I know, because not everyone plays video games, and I appreciate that it's a big ask of African Americans everywhere, but it's a good template. It's a good place to start, because racism won't ever end. Simply because segregation into tribes and groups is hardwired into our species. Differentiation is a survival instinct that isn't compatible with the equalism of modern society. But I believe the best way to combat racist, actual racist uses of this word is to do away with what certain people can say and what they can't. The belief that is an insult specifically to African Americans is exactly what makes it offensive. I don't use it myself, but that's only because I think it's a stupid word. It's devolved from a racial slur now. It's used so many times on YouTube alone that I at least don't even think of skin color when I hear it.
It does not appear that there is any context defense. It does not appear that this was a really shitty joke that went wrong.
I disagree. I think the context is actually very important. He is a Pewdiepie, And he is playing a video game. And if that's not a defense for what he said, then why is it for millions of people whose mouths are the last thing they want to watch? Pewdiepie is a fool for saying it on stream so recently after his previous incident. But as some have pointed out, he likely says it often enough on stream anyway, because that's what many do when they play games. It doesn't make it a good thing to think about of him maybe, but that is the reality. It wasn't that long ago when I thought,
Niggers
is bad no matter what. But censoring it makes it more powerful. Banning it gives it strength. Every single person who is outraged contributes to its endurance as racist. You can't make bad words go away. You can't defeat an idea. But you can alter its perception over time. I understand people are angry for all sorts of reasons, and frankly, have every right to be. My opinion obviously isn't shared by many. But hyperbole and hysteria is how the greatest mistakes are made. Society, at least for YouTube, isn't capable of having a sensible conversation about this when money and attention and marketing and politics are always in the way. Because when you boil it down, a gamer said a bad word, and people overheard it. But ultimately, Pewdiepie saying
Nigger
gave it an out-of-context exposure, and were it not for the media circus, I seriously believe that every time it's used this way, it puts us one step closer to castrating this word altogether. That one word, one single word spoken by one man can cause so much grief and anger and division should be chilling. It's far more powerful than it has any right to be. Oh yeah, and fuck this game.
Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Motherfucker!
By the way, the word I've seen actual racists use, KSI, it's this one.